You are now watching Demeech.
Welcome to Gator Garage. This series covers system mods, controller customization, and retro handheld reviews. In today's episode, we'll be taking a look at the Anbernic RG557. I got it from AliExpress. I reviewed the Anbernic RG556, which released last year. It's a great device, and we got the successor to it this year with the RG557. I've been a huge fan of Anbernic's handhelds. They are capable of playing a ton of retro games and have some excellent build quality. We'll be going over the categories of design and build quality, user interface, game capability, features, and future-proofing, and seeing how the Anbernic RG557 fares. I love the Anbernic RG406V and the RG556 because of how comfortable they are and how powerful they are. The RG557 introduces new analog sticks, has even better specs, and a few new features. So the questions are, is the Anbernic RG557 the best handheld Anbernic has put out? And is it worth getting if you already own a 556? Taking a look at the design of the RG557, it's clearly going for practicality over style. Its design is nearly identical to the RG556, whereas the device itself, it's basically a controller with a screen. On one hand, this is great for ergonomics. It's one of the most comfortable retro handhelds I've used, and the comfort can be attributed to the design. Comparing it to the Metroid Pocket 5, the Pocket 5 has a soap dish sort of design to it. It looks really sleek, but it isn't the most comfortable for an extended gaming sesh. But the RG557 is perfect for that, and it just melts into your hands. There are two marquee differences between the design of the RG556 and 557. There are two color options, being white and transparent black for the 557. It was black and transparent blue for the 556. I usually get transparent devices, but the white reminded me of the Wii U, so I had to get it. Whichever you get though, it's only a matter of preference. But the biggest change is with the analog sticks. The RG556 has Joy-Con style analog sticks, which I didn't have much of an issue with, but the RG557 has newly designed analog sticks. On one hand, the range of movement is better than the 556, and they even have these radical customizable LED rings. You can turn them off if you want to save a little bit of battery, but they don't impact battery life much. But on the other hand, I found the analog sticks to be a bit too small. Considering the device itself already isn't pocketable, might as well have gone all the way and put on full-on analog sticks. They work fine, but they're not the significant upgrade I was expecting. It does come with analog stick caps that heighten the stick a little more, and it does help. But I've seen better analog sticks on Anbernic handhelds before, specifically with the RG406V. They could have just used those instead, and it would have been perfect. The buttons feel nice. I would have liked them to be a bit larger and more spaced out, even if just ever so slightly. But overall, they're good. They have a nice click to them too. The D-pad is also good for the most part. No issue with the input, but it's made from a glossy plastic similar to the Steam Deck. I prefer matte D-pads and buttons, they just feel better to press. But overall, everything outside of the analog sticks are rock solid. Battery life is pretty good too, lasting about 3 to 4 hours for more intensive games like GameCube and Wii, and even longer for the really retro games. Just like with the RG556, the highlights are the comfort and that gorgeous OLED screen. You're getting a stunning OLED screen that really makes these classic games pop. It's one of the best screens you can get on a retro handheld. In terms of design and build quality, the RG557 is very comfortable and is built well. But the small analog sticks are something to keep in mind. They get the job done, but I would have liked them to be larger. Same goes for the buttons. Design and build quality gets 4 out of 5 stars. Taking a look at the user interface, it's pretty much identical to Anbernic's other Android-based handhelds. You can boot into a stock Android launcher, where the UI would be similar to that of an Android smartphone. But the Anbernic launcher is specifically where you're going to play your retro games. It's really easy to navigate and add games. I would have liked more themes and even box art, but this is a straight to the point, no nonsense launcher. And it works well for that. what I'd recommend is putting your game library directly on the 557 itself and only using a micro SD card if you need more space. That way games will load faster, and the RG557 already has a lot of internal storage, being 256 gigs. You'll save a few bucks too, not needing a micro SD card. The RG557 user interface is easy to use and straight to the point. My critiques mainly resort towards cosmetics, like the lack of themes and box art, but as it stands, UI gets 4.5 out of 5 stars. The main reason why you get a retro handheld is because you're officially hooked on the hobby and can't stop buying them. But most importantly, you're getting them for the games. So the question is, what games can it play and how well does it play them? Let's start off with the so retro games. Anything from ancient Atari to PlayStation 1. The RG557 plays them not just flawlessly, but beautifully thanks to that OLED screen. Classic arcade games will really pop, thanks to the deep blacks and whites of an OLED screen. My absolute favorite retro handhelds like the Metroid Pocket Flip 2 have an OLED screen. And let me tell you, it is so nice. I gotta be real, going back to an LCD is like going back home to Indiana after an extravagant vacation to Greece. Unless the LCD is super good like that of the Nintendo Switch 2, which I would hope so considering the price. There's also going to be a significant difference between OLED and most LCD displays. You can relive your most nostalgic memories better than ever with the RG557. It's an excellent way to experience so retro games, but as I always say with high-end retro handhelds, you're primarily getting them to experience more demanding systems. Stuff like Nintendo 64, Nintendo DS, those are gonna play great. With Nintendo 64 games, the emulation can sometimes be spotty just due to the nature of it. You might get minor graphical glitches and stuff like that, like in Banjo-Kazooie the loading screen looks a little bit funky, but alas, Nintendo 64 games will play fine. This is a great way to play them, but I'm here to play games from the Great Purple Ones library. The GameCube is always exciting to me when it comes to retro handhelds. Nintendo locked up the GameCube library for so long, I thought I'd see the opening of the Nickelodeon time capsule before Nintendo re-released GameCube games. But they did on the Nintendo Switch 2 with GameCube Nintendo Classics. Rather than glazing the GameCube library like I also desire to do, I'll be comparing the experience playing GameCube games on the Nintendo Switch 2 to the RG557. The benefits of playing GameCube games on the Nintendo Switch 2 are that all of them are guaranteed to play nearly flawlessly. F-Zero GX is the only game on the GameCube that I'm trying to play on the RG557 that just crashes, but it's perfect on the Nintendo Switch 2. Additionally, the experience of playing in TV and handheld mode is seamless, but the main issue is that the games are drip-fed, and you have no idea how long or how soon Nintendo will release games for it. We're currently 5 months out from the Nintendo Switch 2's launch, and we only have a few GameCube games. With the RG557, you get to put your own game library on the device. So if you want to be a degenerate and play Super Mario Sunshine during the Christmas season, by golly, you can do just that. There are also going to be gems Nintendo probably won't put on Nintendo Classics. It's not just a matter of playing Mario Golf Toadstool Tour before Nintendo gets bored and adds it, but I doubt they'd put something like the SpongeBob movie game on Nintendo Classics. I think the Sonic games would be more likely, but there's no confirmation they're coming. You can literally experience all of the classic license games and Sonic games that you want, anytime that you want. Riders DX approved. This especially applies to ROM hacks like Super Mario Eclipse, which would never be put on Nintendo Classics unless Nintendo becomes based. Dolphin is the emulator used on the RG557. The one Nintendo is using for the GameCube on the Nintendo Switch 2, it's great, but Dolphin has a lot more customization options. If you want a handheld specifically to play GameCube, the RG557 is overall better than the Nintendo Switch 2 in that regard, but most importantly, you can also play Wii games. While Nintendo is out there charging $70 for 2 Wii games, you can literally play most Wii games flawlessly upscaled to HD on a gorgeous OLED screen here. You can play the Super Mario Galaxy games with button controls using a Revolution patch. They look and play amazingly. But with Wii games, there's always something to consider. A game with standard controls like Mario Kart Wii or even Donkey Kong Country Returns those will play just fine. You can remap the waggle controls to buttons, making the experience with New Super Mario Bros. Wii and Donkey Kong Country Returns much better, but some games fully centered around motion controls aren't ideal. I would not play Wii Sports Resort here, but I'd definitely jam out to some Super Paper Mario. The ultimate test is typically Wii games for these retro handhelds, but considering the power increase, we're gonna push the RG557 to the limit and experience a new system. I got Wii U vibes just looking at the RG557, but can it actually play Wii U games? What you're gonna do is turn on the cooling fan in high performance mode. I'd recommend turning them on for GameCube and beyond, but it's absolutely necessary for Wii U. But how do the games play? The RG557 can play a few smaller Wii U games without issue. I was able to play New Super Luigi U flawlessly. Say what you want about the New Super Mario Bros. Series, but New Super Luigi U is an underrated gem. With its time limit and more challenging levels, it's very refreshing and feels different from a standard 2D Mario game. It's pretty much Mario's Missing done right, but getting into the more advanced Wii U games, they don't always run great. I would not get an RG557 specifically to play Wii U games. Consider it more of a bonus system than anything. I'd give it at least 2 years until we have a retro handheld that can play most Wii U games flawlessly. Overall, the RG557 is a very capable device. It's definitely there for GameCube and Wii games, but we're not quite there for Wii U games yet. I'd give it at least 2 more years. Game capability gets a 4.5 out of 5 stars. The RG557 is an Android device at heart, meaning that you can play Android games and get Android apps. I'm not much of a mobile gamer, but man, do I like to doom scroll through YouTube shorts, and the RG557 is great for both of them. If you're interested in Android games, this is actually a great device to play them on since there are analog sticks and buttons. You technically can hook it up to a TV too, but I say technically because that's not a main feature of the device, and it's a bit cumbersome. You could use a USB-C to HDMI cable, but wouldn't be able to charge and play at the same time. But if you get something like the Steam Deck dock, you have to plug it in upside down, and that's not ideal. These are handhelds first, and aren't designed to be hybrid systems, but it is worth bringing up. In terms of features, the RG557 gets 4.5 out of 5 stars. Now let's look towards the future. Is the Anbernic RG557 a handheld that's going to stand the test of time, or will it get an upgrade after you blink? It's already a very capable device. If you're looking for a retro handheld specifically to play Wii U games, I'd wait a few years, but everything else, you won't be bored for a long time, that's for sure. I reviewed both the Metroid Pocket Flip 2 and Pocket 5 earlier this year. In my reviews, I stated that the Metroid handhelds are some of the most future-proofed retro handhelds, and the determining factor was being able to play up to Wii games. I would say the same for the RG557 if it wasn't for the analog sticks. Really, the main critique I have for the RG557 isn't Wii U performance, it's the analog sticks. I'm sure they'll last, as the build quality of them is fine, but they're just too small. And that goes into future-proofing, because if you're gonna have a device for years, you gotta keep that in mind. So future-proofing gets 4.5 out of 5 stars. So far I've established that the RG557 has a gorgeous screen, is capable of playing a lot, and the increased specs are great, but the analog sticks leave more to be desired. Wii U emulation? Also not there yet. So what's the verdict? We have 4.5 stars for user interface, game capability, features, and future-proofing, and 4 out of 5 stars for design and build quality, giving the Anbernic RG557 the overall rating of 4.4 out of 5 stars. Considering this is a successor to the RG556, is it worth getting if you already own the original? Honestly, it's not that significant of an upgrade. Everything will run and play slightly better, but that's about it. If the analog sticks were better, I might be singing a different tune, but as it stands, I'd highly recommend the Anbernic RG557, but not if you have the original already. If you want to get an Anbernic RG557 for yourself, you can get it on AliExpress. Use my coupons in the description to get a discount. And guess what? AliExpress is holding the Double 11 mega sale from November 11th to November 19th, where they're offering up to 90% off site-wide. So what do you guys think? Special shout out to Super Squirrel Studios, Reese, Ultra Bomber 64, Fast Fan 07, Soshi the Yoshi, Generic Rust, Colin Wickham Paper Brothers, Marcus TZB, Glitzy Terror Mevins, and the Ender Kirby for being such awesome channel members. You can get a shout out at the end of the video too if you become a channel member. Anyways, thanks for watching and keep calm and dada on.